Hello and welcome back to the Flow Lane podcast for 2026. This is my first episode of the year. So happy new year if you believe in the new year. I find it really interesting, the new year, because I personally don't really subscribe to it as being the new year. Astrologically, it's not the new year. Everyone's talking about this move from the snake to the horse, but that's Chinese New Year. That doesn't happen until February. So really, we're not looking at a new year until about spring from an energetic perspective. And I think that that's really important for us to understand, because I think we expect that the clock strikes midnight and suddenly we're a new version of ourselves. But really, that new version of ourselves only comes from us actually doing the work, actually putting in the reps, actually, doing the things that create a new identity. And that's kind of this beautiful segue into what I want to chat about today. But firstly, hi, how are you? I would love to hear from you guys. I love connecting with you. I'm mostly over on Instagram, but you'll find me on all the social channels, or you can always send me an email. I'd love to hear from you guys what you're loving about the show. I know it's taken a bit of a new direction this year, and that's really as behind the scenes. Some of you will know this if you follow me online, if you follow my Instagram. I share a little life update over there every month. But over 12 months ago, we moved over to Greece from Australia. We've been living here now for 12 months on an island, doing travel, world schooling our kids, soaking up the Greek culture, all of those fun things. It's now winter and I'm looking out the window at snow on the mountains, which is surreal. And yes, it does snow in Greece, just FYI, fun fact. So if you guys want to hear more behind the scenes, let me know, because I'm happy to share more, but only if you ask. So come and ask me if you want to know more about life in Greece, or follow me on TikTok. I share some funny behind the scenes stuff over there. Anyway, nice segue, Em, if I do say so myself, into what I want to talk about today on the podcast, which is why authenticity will be the only competitive advantage left in 2026 and beyond. So this might make some people uncomfortable, particularly those of you that are selling $27 ebooks online and hoping that it's going to make you a millionaire, is that by 2026, or in 2026, throughout 2026, maybe it's a better way to say it, information is going to become worthless. And that's not because information is bad. We need information, but it's because it is literally everywhere. AI can now generate frameworks, captions, business plans, funnels, scripts, emails, entire brand strategies in seconds. So the barrier to creating content has collapsed. So if your personal brand or your business is built purely on what you know, you're about to feel invisible, because knowledge is no longer scarce, but humanity is. And that's what I want to chat about today, because we're entering into a very unprecedented time in the world and in business. And as founders, how do we really navigate that? I really think that we're going to see the death of information-based authority. And if you look at the bigger picture, for the last decade, authority online has really just been built on expertise. You teach what you know, you package your knowledge, you sell the system. And for a long time that works. And in many cases, it still does if it's integrated with this new world that we live in. Because here's the shift that I'm noticing and that a lot of people are seeing that is really accelerating fast, is that AI has commoditized information. So your audience, for example, can now ask AI how to grow on Instagram. It can ask AI how to structure an offer. It can ask AI how to write copy. It can ask AI how to build a funnel. It can ask AI to review their messaging. Like, if you know how to prompt, you can get a lot of information from AI. And you'll get a fairly decent answer instantly. So if your brand then relies on tips without context, or education without perspective, or strategy without lived experience, then you're going to feel replaceable, because AI can teach. But here's the thing it cannot do: it cannot lead. So as we move into 2026, the brands that win are not going to be the loudest or the most polished. They're going to be the most human. People are going to pay for perspectives, not just process, for lived experience, not just logic, and for leadership, not just lessons. It's not to say that process, logic, and lessons aren't important, but the precursor to that, the leadership, the lived experience, and the perspective, is what's going to make you stand out and what's going to be what people are looking for. Because your audience is ultimately not looking for more information. They're looking for someone who feels safe to follow. Someone who's walked the path, someone who has failed publicly, someone who has nuance, contradiction, depth, someone who is human. In a world of AI, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but so much of the internet now is AI generated, not just in, captions and words that we see, but people have made AI versions of themselves. It's very, very hard to determine what is now a real photo and what is someone's AI twin. I really believe that you can feel, or at least I can, the energy behind it. I can tell if something feels real or if something feels fake. So this kind of comes back to authenticity. And authenticity, if you've read my book, you will know, is not about oversharing. It's about coherence. Does your message match your life? Does your leadership feel embodied? Does your brand feel real? This is what will build trust in an AI-saturated world. And the big overarching strategy to that is storytelling will become the new sales funnel. One of the biggest trends that founders are underestimating is that storytelling is no longer a nice to have. It's no longer a about us on the website or why we started this brand. It literally is the strategy. Facts inform, but stories move people. And in 2026, people will not buy because you explained something well. They will buy because they see themselves in you, or they see a future version of themselves in you, which is told through your story. Your story answers questions your audience may not even know how to articulate. Is this person like me? Do they understand my world? Have they navigated what I'm navigating? Your story creates emotional context for your offer. Without it, you're just another expert. With it, you become a mirror. And mirrors convert far better than megaphones. I really believe we're going to see and continue to see the rise of founder-led brands. We've already seen it massively starting to happen, particularly if you're over on TikTok. I don't know about you guys, but I've resisted TikTok for a very long time. I told myself I was too old for that. But I succumbed, and I'm actually loving it. I've grown pretty quickly over there, and I'm finding it kind of more old school. Instagram kind of has become very polished, and I feel like it's going to go back the other way to real humans sharing their stories. So I think what we see on TikTok, which is now starting to emerge more on Instagram and other social platforms, is the collapse of faceless brands. People are kind of tired of perfect logos and generic messaging, and they want to actually know who is behind the business. Founder-led brands will dominate because trust is built through relationship. Relationship is built through visibility, and visibility requires a human face. So this does not mean you have to be everywhere or share everything. It means that your brand actually needs a heartbeat. Your values, your decisions, your standards, your boundaries. People are not buying products anymore. They're buying proximity to how you think. Let that settle for a moment. Authenticity is not soft. It's very strategic. So let's just clear this one up, because authenticity is not vulnerability for engagement. Please do not cry on the internet to get engagement. My goodness. Not that I'm against crying on the internet if it's legitimate, but 9 times out of 10, when you're in mid-breakdown, who really is turning on the camera, right? It's not emotional dumping. It's not performing relatability. So back to the crying on camera, it's not saying, I need to show that I'm relatable and I also cry, so here's me crying. Let's just take a breath there. Authenticity is alignment. It's saying no publicly. It's choosing long-term trust over short-term attention. It's building a brand that still makes sense when trends change. In 2026, authenticity will be measurable. You're going to see it in retention, referrals, audience quality, depth of conversations, client readiness. The strongest brands will not need to convince, they'll simply resonate. So what does this actually mean specifically for founders? If right now you are building a personal brand or business, here is where I would advise you to focus, and perhaps where to shift your focus. Stop asking, how do I sell this better? And start asking, how do I lead more clearly? Go through and audit your content. Are you teaching or transmitting belief? Are you informing or influencing identity? Are you sharing tactics or a worldview? Your worldview is your moat. It can replicate strategy. It cannot replicate you. 2026 is not a threat to personal brands at this stage. It is a filter. And those who build on noise will fade. Those who build on trust will rise. So if you are willing to stand for something, to speak with nuance, to lead with integrity, and to build a brand that reflects your real values, you will not just survive the AI era, you'll become indispensable within it. And I believe that is where the real opportunity is here. So if this resonates, it's likely because you're already sensing this shift in yourself. The work now is not more content, it's clearer positioning, deeper alignment, and leadership that feels grounded. This is the work that I care about most, and the work that I'm going to be focusing a lot of my efforts, let's just say that, into this year. We are opening up the doors soon for our 1% Club, which starts with the first part of that being an authority accelerator. So we're going to go through and actually get you thinking like a leader, like a thought leader, so that you can communicate that and share that with the world. Yes, we'll use AI to help you refine that message and get it out there, but this is where the subtlety comes in of it's about using it to amplify you, not to replace you, not to make you sound like a robot like everybody else on the freaking internet right now. And then the second part of that is we build a system that compounds and scales as part of that, so that you don't just have a brand and a voice and attention that doesn't go anywhere. You're able to actually turn that into something that scales and that actually feels effortless and that actually enhances your life rather than you just hustling your life away. So if that sounds like where you're at, I'm going to pop the link below to apply in the show notes. We are only taking applications for this program because we want to make sure that it is the right fit for you and for us, because we lean in really closely to work with founders in this space. And we don't want to work with people that we don't want to work with. We want to make sure that it is the right fit for you and that you're going to get the results that you're seeking. So you can click the link below to apply. And if this episode resonated with you, come and have a chat with me about it. I'd love to hear what your perspective, there's my humanity, bumped the table, classic professional podcasting move. Come and share with me. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think about where the world is going, where all this is heading. I would love to hear your perspective over on Instagram. And please, I know every podcaster in the world says this, but please rate and review the show. Please share it with a friend. It really helps me to reach more people. And I think that this message, particularly with where everyone's at in 2026 right now, at the very beginning of the year, as I'm recording this, it's the 2nd of January. I really think that this message needs to get out there to more people, and that more people need to realize this, because it's very easy to fall into the trap of just using AI to share information and to ultimately lose our humanity to that. And I don't want that to happen. And I think that the people who can harness their humanity and leverage AI are the people that are going to win in 2026. So thank you for your ears, and I'll be back in them again soon.